Okay, ladies and gentle fish, I'd like to welcome you guys to another tutorial. Now, before we begin, I would like to apologize because we are not at our usual setup, so the quality might suffer a little bit, but we'll continue nonetheless. So today we're going to be talking about Supabase edge functions and how they work, what they are, as well as one of my favorite tools being Upstash Redis. Now, if you don't know what Supabase edge functions are, or edge functions in general, this is basically code logic that runs on a server only when it is called. So it's not one that is running 24/7. It is only ran when it is called. So when we make an API request, it turns on, it does its thing, it turns off. That's what it does. Now, for Redis, this is what we're going to be using for rate limiting because it allows us to store information with expiration dates or with expiration times, as we're going to see in a little bit. So to give you a quick run through what we currently have over here in Nordcraft, all I have is this little comment section that So continuing where we left off, over here in Nordcraft, all we have is this comments page with a form. Let me actually get rid of that information in there. With a form, and then I have an API request that's getting all of a user's comments, and then it'll display it down here. We currently have no comments, that's why it's saying no comments found. Okay, so to get started, you're going to first come over here to Redis, and you're going to create an account. Once you create an account, you're going to end up on a page like this. Now we're starting here because we're going to need two keys that we're going to add to Supabase after we create our database here in Redis. So once you're on this page, come down here to create a Redis database. Go ahead and create a database, name it whatever you want. I'm going to name mine tutorial. Select the region closest to you. And you don't have to worry about adding a payment method because we're going to be using the free plan. And go ahead and create that. Now once you have created that, we're going to scroll down until we see REST API, because these are the two values that we're going to need to copy over to Supabase. So I'm just going to copy the name like that. We're going to go over here to edge functions, and then once you get to edge functions, you're going to see secrets. So click on that, and we're going to add these two secrets. I'm going to paste that name there, come back to Redis, copy the value, and paste that there. Do add another, and I'm going to do the exact same thing for the token. Okay, so once we have that, now let's go over here to functions, and we're going to do deploy new function and select via editor, because this will allow us to manage it here in the browser. Now I have some code already ready for you that we're going to talk about very quickly. So here's that code. All this code is doing to walk through is, one, we're only accepting post requests. Two, we're making sure that the auth token is passed. So over in Nordcraft, we're making sure that we're making sure that we have that authorization header with the user's access token. Then we're going to create a Supabase client instance with that user's token. Now the reason we do this is because this allows us to use Supabase as if we were the user. So whatever policies they have, like in row level security, so in our comments database table, users are able to do anything with their own record as long as they have the same user's ID. This allows us to abide to those RLS rules and policies. Here we're going to get the user so that we can get the ID for later, making sure that the token is valid and not expired. Now here's checking just to make sure that we have those two credentials that we just added, the REST URL and the REST token for Upstash. Here we are initializing a Redis client to allow us to insert and read data from Redis. And here is our rate limit logic. So we're going to take a quick look at this here we're setting a key. So for my key for this specific comments function, I'm going to be using the user's ID as well as this comment looking parameter. So when I go to update it, we're going to keep that same key. So if you were to change this for something else, like to say for uploads, you might do something like user ID and then uploads or something like that, just to keep better track of what key is being used for what. So I know that this one is for comments, this one might be for uploads, right? And because they might have different rate limits. Okay. So now this is going to just increment that counter. So we're going to, if this is the first call, we're going to add it, and then we're going to give it 60 seconds. So it's going to expire this key in 60 seconds. So before that 60 seconds is up, we're going to allow the user to do 5 comments. We're going to see that when we go into Redis, but we're going to allow the user to do 5 comments. This is completely up to you to set your limit. Then we're going to make sure that the comment that was passed through the body is valid and that the length of it is greater than 0. We're going to insert it into our comments table and then return any errors, and if no errors, we're going to return a 200. Okay, so just come over here to function name. I'm going to call it comments, and then we're going to deploy that function. So once you have that, go ahead and copy the URL. We're going to come back over to Nordcraft, and I'm going to add it as an API like so. Now you're going to see that we're going to start getting errors, one being that it's missing an authorization header. So make sure to come over to headers and do the authorization header, which is going to include the cookie, and then we get the method not allowed that I added because this is a get request when it only allows for post. Alright, let's go ahead and just name it really quickly. I'm going to do SBEF for Supabase Edge function, and I'm going to say add comment. Now, as we saw in the code, it is expecting, where's that comment? Hold on a minute. I guess I'll just have to find it. Where's, oh, it was literally right there. It is expecting a comment in the body, so we have to make sure that in the post request we go to body and we go ahead and add the object with comment, and I'm going to map that to my comment variable, and then just make sure that in the content type is application JSON. That should have changed automatically when you change this to a post request. Okay, so based on the logic here in the edge function, this is going to increment that key every single time this API is triggered. Why don't we go ahead and we'll just go ahead and spam it really quickly, and then we'll go see what's going on in Redis. So we'll go to add a comment. We're going to see that comment's length must be greater than 0, and I believe that is before, or is that after we increment it? Okay, so that is after we increment it. So if I keep spamming this, eventually we should get the rate limit. There it goes, rate limit exceeded. So let's check Redis. If you come over to Redis and you go to the data browser, you'll see that we currently have that key, my user ID, and that comment sort of parameter that I talked about earlier, and we're to see this TTL is counting down. Now this originally started at 60, and it's going to count down, and once this hits 0, this key is going to expire. So that's how we're checking if they hit the rate limit, because you can see this is currently 7, and we only said that it can go up to 5. So we're going to see that once that is 0, we refresh, it is gone. So now let's actually add a comment. I'll do hello world, like so. And we'll go back to add a comment, and I'm going to do the same thing. Just spam this. It's taking a second. There we go. Now we're getting rate limit exceeded. And you can see no matter how many times I do this still, it's going to keep saying rate limit exceeded, but this is counting every single time. So in Redis, I don't know how many times I did that, 17 times. So we have 30 seconds remaining before this expires, and we can add more comments. So we can go over here and quickly look at the database, and we can see all the comments here. And that's basically how we use edge functions with rate limiting. Now let's just recap again what we have here. I'm going to just delete this again. We're going to let that expire, and we're going to walk through the code again. So if you remember, edge functions is just code logic that runs on a server that is only turned on what it is called for. So every single time we make a request to this API, it's going to turn on, it's going to run this code, and in this code we have the rate limit logic using Redis right here. So again, every single time that the user calls for this API, we're going to get their user ID, we're going to add this comment parameter to it, and then we're going to add that to Redis, and we're going to keep incrementing this current count within that, we're going to keep incrementing that rate limit count, and then in 60 seconds it'll expire. So what if we change this to say like 300, which is now 5 minutes? So it'll be 5 minutes, and we'll keep the count the same, and we keep everything else the same, and I'll just deploy those changes. So now, if we go over to Nordcraft, and let's go ahead and do the same thing. Let me just make sure that everything is clear. I don't have anything in the comments table. Nope. And we're just going to go ahead, and we're going to spam this again. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, and now 6. We get that rate limit. Now we can see over here in Redis, you see now it's 4 minutes and something seconds. It doesn't show you these seconds, but we know that it's more than 4 minutes. So now I cannot add more comments for basically the 5 minutes that we had set it to. So in here in Supabase, we refresh. Taking a second. There we go. We see I only have those 5 records. So even if I come over here and I just keep spamming this and we keep spamming it, nothing's happened because we already hit the rate limit, and it's doing the add comment logic afterwards. So then again in Redis, we'll see I just hit it 26 times, but we still have more than 4 minutes remaining before this expires. And if I check again in Supabase, we can see that nothing's getting added. We're still at that 5. You can see now that we're at 3 minutes. So yeah, that's how rate limiting works with Supabase, Nordcraft, and another one of my favorite tools, Upstash. If this video was helpful to you, go ahead and leave a like and comment on what else you would like to see. And if you want more content like this, make sure to subscribe to this channel, and I will see you guys next time.